Great. Good day to you guys. So, I actually have to rush this very fast because I have to go to somewhere now. But I just feel like giving this because something actually happened today that I feel like a lot of people actually face, especially when they're starting out as an entrepreneur or during their journey in the course of their age. And it is something very paramount, especially once you are gaining momentum. Now, one thing you should realize and you should know that if your dream is too big that only you can actually achieve it, it is a very small dream. Do you understand? So, if your dream is so big and so large, then you should understand that you are not the only one that can actually achieve that goal. Now, on your path, on your journey to actually achieving the goal, you definitely have to work with people. And then there are a lot of various characteristics and a lot of things that actually incorporate themselves in order to make people stay with you. That is why even as an entrepreneur, you have to actually know how to work with people. You have to be a leader. It's not just about giving others. I see most people trying to be self-employed, trying to be an entrepreneur, and then one of the things they only want to do is to gain control, just to give orders, and then just to make things get done. But definitely, it doesn't work like that because if you are in the position of those people who you actually want to work with, or who you want them to work with you, you would not answer those orders because it would feel so uncomfortable. So no, it's either you pay people so much that they shut up, that is, you continuously use your money to pay them off that they don't talk again, or they feel like, okay, the way you're talking to them or the way you're acting to them or the way you taking them, the way you relating with them, at least is what the amount of money you are paying them. Then maybe you can actually continue being rude and not understanding them and then telling them to shut up and then doing all sort of things. But as an entrepreneur who is probably starting somewhere, I doubt he would actually have that kind of money to do that kind of thing. And then it's not something sustainable, it's not something that you can lay hold to for a very long time. Because no matter what, human beings are emotional beings. Sometimes it's not always logical. I know of people who are probably getting paid millions and then they are still not comfortable because I've worked with a lot of clients before. Some of them were accountants and then she was definitely getting a lot of money. But then she was not happy with it because it was not just something she wanted to do, because I don't know, there are a lot of factors included in it. So basically the reason why I mentioned that was that it's not only money that make people stay somewhere, but how they are treated and the way they feel. So feeling comes from emotion, and we human beings are emotional beings, and no matter what, our emotions will always win, no matter what. So now, straight to what I want to say very shortly. So it's basically when you're trying to work with people, and then most especially if they feel like they can't work with you again, or they're tired, or maybe they don't see the dream, or they don't see their dream. This person came to me this um afternoon, and then she was like, if somebody says, I will use a very basic word, if somebody says he wants to you know leave a business, let's say resign. You can either say resign, you can say quit, you can say leave, you can say anything that just means I want to go. What advice would I give the person? Now, the first question that actually came to my mind was, are you the one that wants to leave the business, or do you have somebody you would like to give an advice to? That's okay. What would I say to the person? And then Asmin, she of course she said she's not the one, but Asmin, she has said she's the one. I would have said, I have three questions to ask you. Are you trying to leave the business, leave my business, or leave your business? Because that's the one thing that most people don't understand, that you actually trying to achieve a goal or achieve something or achieve a dream, if it doesn't align to what you definitely want to achieve later on in the future, so then why do it in the very first place? So if you started something in the very first place, that means it must have aligned to your goal. You must have seen something that you would benefit. You can't always do something because I am doing it. You can't always do something because I told you to do it. You definitely did it because you feel like, okay, I can benefit from this. So you trying to live something, are you living it because of me? Are you living it because of yourself? Are you living it because of the thing itself? So you should understand that, okay, are you trying to build your own business? Are you trying to build my business? Or are you trying to build the business? You understand? So most times your answer should definitely be, why did I start in the first place? Why did I start doing this in the first place? Why do I want to, there must have been something that I saw that I could benefit, because definitely start with you. Yeah, definitely. That's just it. Let's not mix more. Let's just be raw. You can't do something, continue something always because of somebody. You definitely have to see some ways you can actually benefit from it, which is basically normal. Do you understand? It's normal. It's a normal thing. Now, and then she told me it was basically not for her, but definitely for someone. And then my advice, or what I would have actually said, of course, I gave her advices, and then I'll probably be glancing through some of the things I told her. Yeah. So basically, as me, she told me it was for someone, and then I think I skipped the question, because the question that would have actually came to my mind to ask her was that, or to tell her, was that I cannot give you an advice. I cannot give you an advice that is meant for someone just so you can tell it. I don't know if that makes sense. That means I cannot put words into your mouth. I cannot tell you what to say, because what I would say may not be what you may say in the person you want to give this advice to. So basically, it has to deal with me actually meeting with that person and knowing why they want to stop in the very first place. Do you understand? So, and then we went on, and I was just like glancing through. So basically, the reason why I'm saying this is just so you can learn, because most times also you would work in, like, if you intend to actually scale high, it will not always be rosy. Do you understand? It will not always be rosy. You definitely have to work with people, and then not everyone will want to work with you. At, of course, for a long time. Do you understand? So now, of course, she explained, and she told me those people. And one of the things that I actually noticed, number one, is that you have to be sensitive. That is one thing about being an entrepreneur. You have to be sensitive enough to know when things are, or when things would happen. You have to know, okay, these are signs that I've been picking up from places. These are signs. This. What would likely happen? Now, one thing about being an entrepreneur is that you have to be being an entrepreneur deals with you being what's the word? Reactive. It deals with you being reactive. With you being reactive. That's it. You sense something, straight up you act. You know this is about to happen, straight up you act. That's what being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, you can't not stay laid down, and then you would just accept things to come. Especially because of being an entrepreneur, you definitely have control. To have control over your life, have control over certain things, so that nothing just pushes you around. So basically, you have to be real. You have to be what did I say it again? You have to be reactive, and also you have to be sensitive. Yeah, that was the point I made. You have to be sensitive to know, okay, these are, I picked up some signs, and then this is what is likely going to happen. Your should I call it intuition, has like tell you something that, okay, these things are actually bound to happen, and from there you actually get to work towards making sure that that thing either happens or does not happen. So, and then one of the things was, because it was looking like I was negative, because I told her, when she told me about the person, and then I told her I expected it, and she was like, why do you always expect bad things? And I basically laughed, and I was like, I'm sensitive, one, and then I pick up. I don't just, of course, I may be the kind of person that don't talk, or jump to conclusion, because I wait to pick up signs from one places, pick up signs like, okay, this happened at this point in time, this happened at this point in time. What was it repetitive? Did this repeat itself? And from there I get to learn, okay, yeah, this is what is likely more going to happen. How do I actually, mitigate this? What are the mitigating factors I can give to this? Or what are the things I can push to it to actually make that thing happen? So, and I was like, I picked the signs because one thing is, if you are disconnected from your business for a long time, in anything you are doing in life, if you are disconnected from it for a long time, you would actually lose interest in it at some point in time, because you being disconnected at that point in time is just like you having a blank page, and when you have a blank page, anything can be written on it. You understand? So that is why most times, most people, when they work at a job for a very long time, and then due to one issue or the other, they probably get laid or sent out or sacked or fired. It feels like they can't do anything with their life again, because all the pages in their life, that is, all the pages in their book, have been written with that they've been spending their time doing. So the more you spend your time doing something, the more you actually get to succumb to the signs of that thing actually happening. That is, the more time you spend in something, the more you get to know it. Definitely, if you spend a lot of time being poverty oriented, there's except a lot of time is spent that goes over the time you spent being in poverty. You will definitely perform or act out in poverty rate and mentality. Now I'm just saying this as an example. I'm not saying that is what actually happens. Do you understand? I'm just trying to explain a point here, that the more time you spend at something, the more better you get at it. So whatever way you spend your time doing negative things, the more better you get at it. There was a time very funny. There was a time I used to smoke paper when I was a kid. So I used to smoke paper. Then, like, I basically, I stayed in an environment where I see people smoke. Now, that's not trying to say that basically that's normal. Of course, I was young, and then I was still trying to learn things. So, and I learned by actually seeing things around me and then doing them. So there were a lot of like smokers around me then, and then I watched movies, and then whenever you see smokers, you probably see them in a computer building. So I used to take paper then, because I was staying with my grandma, and I didn't want my grandma to sense the smoke. So I basically would go into an uncompleted building, and I can take a sheet of paper, and then sometimes I can be fancy enough to take scissors and actually cut it into little pieces and roll it up and then smoke it. So yeah, very like that's not good. That's not a good thing. But definitely I got to know better, because it got to some point I was about to become addicted to it, even after getting admission into the university. Of course, I didn't extend above that, but it could have if I had continued doing it, because I definitely want more. But then I stopped it. Definitely, I don't smoke. All right. So now, the more time you spend at something, the more better you get at it. If you spend it at negative things, you actually get better at negative things. If you spend it at positive things, you definitely get better at positive things. If you spend your time with people, I usually say this a lot. If you spend your time with certain kind of certain people, you actually tend to become like them. So I'm trying not to make this very long, because I actually have to go to somewhere. So that is one thing. You have to be sensitive as an entrepreneur. Also, self-development actually matters a lot. Self-development matters a lot, because that's point number 2, self-development. Because a lot of self-development, there are a lot of times that in your environment or your community, especially if you are poor, you can't say you have a good environment, because if you had a good environment in the first place, then why are you poor? So if you are poor, that means you definitely need to change something about yourself if you want to be rich. And one thing is your environment. And your environment is not just about the grass, it's not just about the houses, and necessarily it's not just about the people, but what the people say. What do you get into your head? Because most times it's what things that get into us that we tend to release outside. Do you understand? So self-development matters in that, whether the books you read, or the podcasts you listen to, what kind of people you listen to. Now, I see most people try to quench their feeling of depression or being sad by spending their time, laughing. I'm not saying it's not good to laugh, but definitely you have to be self-developed, because once you quench that thirst of trying to laugh, trying to make sure that you feel temporarily good, and you are hiding yourself from the reality. And once it stops, you definitely go back to that certain traits of you wanting to do something, you basically giving something else control of your life. Do you understand? So self-development matters a lot. Now, one of the mistakes I made, or I'm trying to correct also, is making sure that people around me are actually self-developed, because I really value self-development a lot. So I value self-development a lot, and then one of the things that I'm trying to change is that me feeling like what I'm actually passing through, what I'm doing, can other people actually do it? I spend a lot of time, when I'm eating, I am watching a self-development video, and I am reading, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, can other people do the same kind of thing? Hope I will not be inconveniencing them. Now, it is an act of selfishness. Let me tell you, it is an act of selfishness. And then it varies actually on the way you want to see it as selfishness. But to me, it's an act of selfishness because I'm basically developing myself, and then because I am scared that other people will be disturbed, I am not letting them get self-developed too as well. So that's another thing. Self-development really matters a lot. Now, some people may say it is actually a act of selfishness by trying to make them become like you. Anyways, basically what I'm doing is working for me, and then what I think would work would definitely work because it's working for me. And then one of my goals is to make sure that I have people around me also who are getting the kind of result that I get to. So definitely they can too as well. So number two, that's self-development. Also number three, now there is this kind of thing that I'll be taking it a little bit into something sensitive, and that is religion. Now most people feel like because you are basically a Christian or something, you can't do other things that it won't make you have time for God and all that is. Now, one thing I should tell you, if you go into the Bible and then you read the story of Jesus. Jesus goes to the okay. Basically, he spent most of his time doing the work that his father sent him, and not necessarily sitting in the synagogue trying or just learning every time. The work of his father was to do what? Was to win souls, and he spent more of his time doing that, and he only spent few times than the time he spent doing the work, actually doing what? Actually learning. Now most times people, they spend a lot of time in the church learning, listening to the pastor. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Do you understand? One thing that entrepreneurship has actually made me understand is that I cannot do without God. Like, God is the number one. There's nothing that can be done before and after him. Everything that was made in him. Now, the Bible says I don't know the verse, but definitely I remember the what it said. It says, show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my work. It basically means you can't say you have faith and you don't work. Your faith will not be made manifested. I was listening to a self-development video, I think yesterday. I was like, God is like the relationship between you and God is like the relationship of somebody who swerves. I don't know the right word for being what a captain does. Basically, like swerve the ship or the boat, and your own role as a person is to actually row the boat. Now, you cannot take the role of God, and you cannot expect God to take your role. Do you understand? Now, you have to row your boat for God to actually turn it in the right direction. You cannot expect that God will take the boat from you and row it for you, and at the same time do what? Turn it at the same direction, and you just sit down there. God is not like that. God is not a lazy God, so he does not expect, because he said he made man in his own image. So if he made you in his own image and God is not lazy, then he doesn't expect you to be lazy. Wealth doesn't come by laziness. Wealth actually comes by working. You put God first in that thing you want to do, you do that thing, and then you pray to God. Do you understand? So basically that's just one thing, and I hope you get the concept. Also, another thing is being overwhelmed. Like, I say it a lot of times because I've actually experienced it. So everything I'm saying out is as a result of being of my experiences. There are a lot of times that, or when I was starting, even to some extent today, I feel overwhelmed, because it's normal. Because if you don't feel overwhelmed, if you don't feel pressure at every point in life, that means you are not doing something. That means things are going the same way it used to go. So there have to be new challenges, there have to be new pressures, there have to be new feeling of being overwhelmed for you to grow. Because you don't remain the same person you were at one point in time. You definitely have to go. The goals you set at some point in time are not the goals you definitely still stick true today, because you definitely pass them. There was a time I set goals to be making $15,000. The goal is called $50,000 every month. and then I've hit the goal. And what if I had stayed in that same level and be like, okay, I want to make $50,000 a month. I mean 50,000 naira a month. Yeah, I'm used to dollars, so don't pardon me. So if I stick to that, I'll definitely not go to other new challenges, to other new phases of life to actually make more by myself. So it is normal. Feeling overwhelmed is normal. But then you don't have to run, you can't run away from it. You can't run away from responsibilities. You can't run away from taking your life together, like holding your life together and making sure that it actually works in the direction that you want it to go. Now, I one thing I like about what Grant Cardone usually say is that he is not the kind of person that lives one for one. Like he wants everything. That is his marital life 100%, his financial life 100%, his personal development 100%. Everything about his life, he wants it to be perfect, and that is one thing that most people, of course, most people feel like, and it is controversial. It's definitely controversial that balance cannot be balanced everywhere and everything. But I feel like they can be balanced everywhere. It just depends on the priorities that you set. As an entrepreneur, you can't always do everything. You have to focus on one thing that actually moves the needle. Did I get that right? Or maybe I don't know. Maybe the needle that moves the clock. I don't know. Anyways, but I hope you understand. You grab the concept. You have to focus. You have to focus. You cannot expect yourself to be a driver, and then you get out of your car, or you get out of your bus or whatever, and then you go to the back of the car and you start pushing it. You would spend a lot of time, and you will definitely sweat, and people will say, you've worked a lot. Well, what you could have done is to take your car key, put it inside the car, and switch it on, and take the what's the word? I don't have a car, so yeah, the driving, you understand? Vroom vroom. Yeah, basically I've forgotten the name. Anyways, you grab the concept. Yeah, the driving wheel. Yeah, I think the wheel. Yeah, the wheel. Anyways, so that is that small thing that will actually move the car, and you will not necessarily need to sweat. Of course, if the two of you, let's say you are two, and one person was actually pushing the car, and you are actually driving the car with the driving wheel. Yeah, just even if the word is incorrect, because I'll still confirm if it's called a driving wheel or not. So, but then people, when the two of you come out, people will see the person, probably entering inside the mud and dirty, sweaty, smelly, and you are coming out fresh. They would call the person, according to, if you were to judge by work, this is the most hardworking. But if you were to judge by results, this is you, because you are actually what? You are actually smart. You prioritized. You have to focus on the 20% that makes the 80% happen. The driving wheel that actually made the car move, or the accelerator that made it move. You understand? But most times people focus on the 80% and they only get 20% of the results. That is, in your life, you focus on like doing a lot of things. And here you feel overwhelmed because you don't even have time to do other things. And because of that, one part of your life becomes destroyed, while one is not really developed, because the efforts you are putting, you are only focusing on 80% and you're just getting 20% of the results. You understand? So priorities really matters. That is, know what actually moves the needle. What's that small thing that you need to do that will make this thing actually work. That way you can take those things, make them work, and then it just seems like you have control over every area of your life. And it actually comes by doing. You only learn by doing. You actually know those things that you're supposed to focus less on by actually doing those things, doing that thing, and you get to learn. You don't become perfect at anything. At the very first point, at the very first instance, you actually try something else. I'm checking this. Yeah, at the very first point or instance, you actually try something else. So that's another thing. Being overwhelmed, it comes from you not having priorities. It comes from you not having certain goals, the things that you need to do to actually get results. Schooling, business, what are the things that are needed? Reading, being self-developed, focusing on the classes that matters the most, having friends that will probably, write some, I don't know, do some things from you that you don't necessarily have to be there. Your money also can work for you. You can leverage on your money as well. So that is another thing. I don't know what number I am, but I definitely I definitely hope you are. Now, another thing that most people usually face, I'm actually very late already, is that the world has become so normal, like being lazy, or I wouldn't say lazy, running from work has become so normal that those who don't run from work are seen as an outcast. That is, those who don't run from work, those who those who do the things that are required, those who get up early in the morning are seen as people crazy, people who don't know how to live life. And then it affects some people that they actually relapse to actually being that kind of person that doesn't have a priority, that feels like the world is supposed to go simple, the world is supposed to go easy on them. There are a lot of things. For you to be top 1%, you have to do what 99% are not doing. So you have to be careful about that. So now I think I have it here because she was you have to build your personal tenacity, you have to build your mental muscle, because I was telling her. So and when you start doing something like that, I said it here, to others you seem like you are perfect already, but to yourself, you know, you have to continuously become better. And the moment of relapse, you have to strive to build it up, to build it back up. That is, once you are doing something and then you feel like you are complacent, because I actually was in that position before. I was complacent, I was getting some result or the other, and it got to a point in time that I felt like, okay, everything was good, I already achieved my goals. And then I stopped doing those things that I was doing to actually get those results I was getting. And then I actually had to strive again to actually build it up. Now, at some point in time, that is the point in time that most people actually drop the baton or the baton. They feel like I'm no longer doing. Like, I don't know how I would do it to get back up to where I was before. And from there, you know, they basically stop. They quit. So, as an entrepreneur, you having teammates, they could be getting something before. You have to be sensitive in the past that let them, when they are already getting complacent, you let them aware that you are already getting complacent on this thing. Like, and before you know it, you would start saying, because it will get to a point in time that when you get complacent, you get overwhelmed, because you definitely have to build up to that position you were before. And then if you can't, or you're scared of doing that thing, you definitely was, you will not have a choice than to feel like you can't do it anymore, and then you give up. So that is another thing. So you have to build right also. There are some things that you don't hide from, you don't shy away from. You don't have to face the devil, like you have to face the beast. Basically, you have to face the beast in the face. See, most times before things happen, we know they are supposed to happen, but most times we just shy away from them, all because we want to make everyone feel good or feel better. There are some words that need to be said, that they must not be left unspoken, especially if you are trying to build something that would last. The foundation has to be right at the very first instance. You have to lay the foundation right. Okay, I wanted to say Yoruba, but I don't, it's not only Yoruba audience that I have. Words that are meant to be said must be said. You cannot shy away from them. If somebody is not doing well, you have to tell them they are not doing well. The Bible even says it. You have to tell them they are not doing well. If somebody is doing well, you have to tell them they are doing well. So encourage them. You don't have to. In fact, I see it as a form of wickedness when there are things that are meant to be said, people that are meant to be said to, but you don't say it and you don't say it to those people. It is a form of wickedness because you don't let them understand or realize that these are areas that they need to change or get self-developed into. You don't make them aware of that thing, and before you know it, it would affect them, it would affect you. All right, so basically the space on my phone is actually getting full, so I'm having to, it's cutting me off, so I don't know, it may have cut off some of the things I have said, but I'll just try to, repeat myself. Hopefully I'll be able to like get back where I stopped, so I will work on that too as well. Self-development, like keep improving every day. So straight to it. So yeah, I don't know where I stopped, but definitely I'll just move forward. So I told her here that, especially, and it's something that I definitely experience, that doubt, fears, insecurities and all that. So, and most times doubt, fears, and insecurities, they come like friends. Now, once they come, they speak into your head, like, they are definitely, like, they come like friends, something to relieve you of the stress. If you're doing something new and people are, criticizing you, and then you feel like you want to succumb, like, why not listen to them a little bit? They may be saying the right thing. And then they come to you like friends, and then the moment you sit down and listen to them, they do what? They take you and they tie you down. And but if you tell them, you know what, just fuck you, like just get the fuck out of my head, you would see yourself, because behind fears, behind insecurities, behind doubts is what? Is courage, security, and faith. Once you send them off, you would see those other three companions that are meant to come to you come and take the place and do what? And push you forward. And before you know it, you gain momentum in your life. But once you let those guys tie you down, it will seep into every area of your life. Maybe it's just about that stuff that they say are not doing. Definitely another time you come out, need to repeat itself, and once it continues to repeat itself, you continue to become the person who is scared, who is insecure, and who has doubts. Do you understand? So you can just take that as an example. When you're starting as an entrepreneur, doubt would come, fear would come, insecurities would come. Definitely, it's not rosy, but you just have to stick with it. Even when you're feeling like it, even when you're not feeling like it, you have to stick with it. Because the market will definitely reward you, one, for the time you spent, and two, for the things you did while you are spending the time. Do you understand? So actions have to be taken in place. So I hope you get the point. So now most times, I was saying that the normal world makes it feel like hardworking people are crazy and they don't know what they are doing, because most people don't want to do some things that are needed. Even while an entrepreneur, while you're trying to get momentum, you have to work with people, you have to understand emotions. Right here, you have to be selfless, even when it is logically right for you to be selfish. It is logically right for me to know all these things that I am doing, that I am saying, and then just go teach my teammates and my leaders, or the leaders that I have, and then just teach them. It is logically right for me to be selfish, like choose to be selfless, and then share with other people, because I don't know who this might actually be touching, who might actually need this, and who it might like benefit or be a benefit to. So even when entrepreneurship, most especially if you want to scale. There is this thing about Robert Kiyosaki, and he said the ESBI quadrant. I won't get into it, but definitely one of the things that affects the S, that is the self-employed people, is that they are selfish. Like self-employed, self-entrepreneur, that is why they don't grow. You would not see a selfish person grow, because you would always want to be the better person in that particular point in time. And once it leaves the place, the thing crashes down. But you have to be selfless enough to give even everything that you have just for people and other people to grow. Even when it is logically right for you to be selfish, you have to be selfless. You have to work with people. You have to understand emotions. And also you have to invest in your business until it grows. You have to invest in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of people, even when it is not paying you. Now there's a little bit of, let's just back it up with statistics, because most time people believe statistics. You can make a research on this. So I wrote it here because I can't put that in my head. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 20% of small businesses fail within their first year. 20% of businesses fail within their first year. The failure rate increases to 30% by the end of the second year, 50% by the fifth year, and 70% by the 10th year. That is, if you want to be part of the 100 or part of the 30% that actually scale, you have to stick with your business for at least 10 years to then say this is not working. I don't know if that makes sense. Now, once people try something for 3 months, for 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, and then it's not working as they want it to work, and then they basically, give up. They're like, it's not worth it. I was listening to a podcast. I mean, not like a podcast, a YouTube video by Myron Golden today, and he was saying you have to, when you are working as an entrepreneur, you have to let the work on you. You have to let the pressure, everything seep into you, work on you, know the ins and outs about the thing. That once it's not working, you know what to do to make it work. And once it's working, you know the signs that you should be careful of that will not make it work, and how you would actually scale it up. And you can only know that by spending what? By spending time. By spending time. Now, most times people have this the tendency to want things to work fast. Like, now, mind you, do not mistake process for delay. Like most people, they get delayed and they feel like they are passing through a process. But while in the process, you are basically doing nothing. So don't mistake it for it. Now, I think I diverted. So what I was saying is that, yeah, basically things take time. Most times people want instant gratification that it is instantly. But if you look back into your life, you would understand and you would know that things never work fast. When you started working in the very first place, you fell down flat on your face. There are times that you were probably working and people will make jest of you because you fell down. There are times that you fell down and you had bruises on your legs, on your knees, you injured yourself. But did you stop trying to work? No. No, you didn't. You didn't stop trying to work. You continue to strive to know how to work, even regardless of whatever people are saying, regardless of you falling down, regardless of anything. And then now you know how to work. You know things to take. You know, okay, if you say stone in front of you, you don't have to eat it. You know, if I fall down, possibly if I fall down today, these are some medicines and some things that I can add to it. And this I should be careful of not to fall down. That's why not take that same mindset in your business as well. You've been working for how many years? I don't know. Over 20 years. Now, why not stick with your business just like you've been sticking with working for over 20 years? Why are you just trying out for the first year and then you just want to call it quits? You want to stop working. You just want to stay there. It doesn't work like that. So I'll forget that. So now, most times when you experience this kind of things, because most entrepreneur trying to work with a team, they feel like, you know what, I don't think I can do this. This is not for me. I think I prefer to just go work alone. Just get into my room, do my thing. I'm trying to, because basically most times most entrepreneur, our mindset is actually, what is in our minds is actually to help people. I'm like, okay, I'm in fact I'm even trying to help you. Like, if we do this, we're actually going to succeed in it. And then you are giving me issues in it. Like, I'm trying to understand your emotions. I'm trying to work with you so that you can succeed and I can succeed. So why are you giving me this issue? And if you are giving me this issue, I don't think, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe I should just go do my thing by myself. Since I know the thing that will push me. It's normal for you to feel that way. But mind you, don't relapse. Instead, you should count it as a blessing that people are trying to leave you. You should count it as a blessing. Why? Because there are people who wish to be like you, but they don't even have people to threaten them that they want to leave. Do you understand? It's because you're actually doing something. One, you got a teammate. Do you know what it takes to actually speak with the person and the person choose for the very first time to actually work with you? It's a blessing. Most people don't even have that. They don't know what it feels like. They don't know what it feels like for somebody to tell them, I want to leave your business. But you do. Now, you have to be careful of the fact that you have to make sure that, of course, you learn from it. You have to take notes of course, evaluation and everything. And most times you may not always be the one at fault. Yeah, that is one mistake that people make. They feel like, especially if you are good at it, like, did I make any mistake? Like, what did I do? What could I have done better? Most times it will not always be from you. It could be from that person. Because the person is human just like you are. And the person has mistakes and flaws just like you are. You do as well. So most times it's not about your fault, it's not about your mistake. But then you have to learn from it. Because that's, once it happened to once, okay, it can be number twice, 3 times, 4 times, really, are you sure you're not the issue? Then you have to actually check up and be like, it seems like I'm the one that is the issue. So you have to learn from it at that very first instance, and to do what? And to make sure that things like that reduces with time. Now, I would that is why your own personal self-development matters. So I would end this with this, that nothing worth it comes easily. And if it came easily, people don't always count it worthy. Nothing worth it comes easily, and if it came easily, people don't always count it worthy. Because, for example, except somebody who is breathing, like finding it hard to breathe, would of course count you lucky for breathing. Well, every one of us we are breathing, so we don't count it special that we are breathing because it is so easy to do, at least currently. But if somebody knew how to fly, like Superman, you would call that person God because he did something spectacular and unique that most people do not do or do not have the ability to do. So nothing good, nothing spectacular comes easily, and if it came easily, people would not count it worthy. So whatever challenges you're actually facing in being an entrepreneur, you should count this as a blessing because it is worth it. That is why it's not coming easily. So I hope I was able to pass value in this, and I hope you're able to learn one or two things. So if only, like I would always say, if only, because there is no ad, and then I want to appreciate you guys so far for actually following through. Like, I love you. So if only you are getting value from this, because all my tools actually provide things for you so that we actually get to learn and grow. And this is just for if only Dangote and the likes of Otedra and everybody was actually, telling us part of the challenges they faced while starting out as an entrepreneur. Probably people will not always want things to go fast because they definitely face issues too. That's why I'm documenting some of these things as a voice or as a note, I mean as a video, so that we can go through the step and understand that things does not always come that does not always come easy. So even if you are getting value from this video, please ensure you share it with your teammates or somebody close to you. You like it and then you hit the subscription button because we are all developing. And then if you have any questions too, please feel free to like drop a message and then or drop a comment and then I would respond to you. So thank you very much, and then I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Remember, be good. God bless you. Subscribe.